With the first month of the NFL season officially in the books, it's time to look at the first mock draft of the year. And for context, we are going to be using the Tankathon Draft Order, which is the official order if the season were to end today, and it's constantly updated week after week. So with the first overall pick, I have the winless New Orleans Saints going quarterback from Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, someone who has taken college football by storm. In only 5 games, he has 16 passing touchdowns to 1 interception, over 1,200 passing yards, and completing 73% of his passes. Not to mention a 197.8 passing efficiency rating. We've seen the Hoosiers go undefeated up to this point, 5-0 with 2 big-time wins over Iowa and Illinois, and that Illinois game was an absolute beatdown, 63-10 victory. Mendoza is a great decision maker. He can break down defenses pretty effectively. He can throw guys open. The accuracy, again, is just on point. You're projecting him into the Kellen Moore offense. Kellen Moore, obviously a former quarterback. Obviously, he's had a lot of success before in the past. And to be fair, we have seen Spencer Rattler put out some pretty solid performances, right? 5 touchdowns to 1 INT. Spencer Rattler is not the main reason why this Saints team is losing games on a week-to-week basis. But of course, if the Saints do have the first overall pick, I just can't envision them passing on drafting the future of the quarterback position here. So for me, I think Mendoza in this Kellen Moore offense, playing in a dome, showing off the accuracy, could be something special. With the second overall pick, the New York Jets are going with quarterback from South Carolina, LaNorris Sellers. Now, again, much like the Saints, Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, that's not really the reason why the Jets are losing games. It is because of the defense. But when you have the second pick in the draft and you don't have a long-term option at the quarterback position, you gotta take a chance. Sellers' ceiling is absolutely enormous. That is the bottom line. The potential with LaNorris Sellers is pretty mind-blowing, right? When you feel like the play's over for most college quarterbacks, that's actually when the play's just getting started for Sellers. His contact balance is fantastic. I mean, he looks like a running back carrying the football. That is how strong, that is how physical, that is how elusive Sellers is as a ball carrier. But of course, he plays the quarterback position. He brings a lot to the table. He's one of the best deep throwers in the country. He's one of the best intermediate throwers in the country. His ability to extend plays, throw on the run, throw guys open. And he's also trending in the right direction. These last 2 weeks at Missouri and then of course at home against Kentucky were the 2 best teams that he's played all season, but yet he's performed the best in those 2 games. Not to mention, you look at Sellers' fit in the Tanner Engstrand offense. It's an offense that's already built to have a mobile quarterback at the helm, so you don't really feel like there's this massive transition from college to the NFL for LaNorris Sellers as far as the X's and O's are concerned, as far as the scheme is concerned. With the third pick in this mock draft, we have the Tennessee Titans going with defensive end from Miami, Ruben Bane. Now, of course, watching this Tennessee Titans offense, I desperately want to give them a wide receiver. I want to give Cam Ward a wide receiver, but I gotta be honest, 3 just feels a bit too high at this point in time. Let's not overthink it. Let's go with the best edge rusher in the class, someone with immense power, immense strength, and add Ruben Bane to this mix. Bain is one of the most consistent and polished players in this entire draft class, right? You look at him as a pass rusher, he is great. You look at him as a run stuffer, as an edge setter, he is fantastic. You look at the size, you look at the athleticism, it does project well to the next level. What's interesting too about Ruben Bane is that he's been on a constant trend upwards. I mean, it doesn't even matter who he's playing against, right? Notre Dame's offense, Florida's offense, he's absolutely dominant. If you take Bain and you plug him into this Titans defense, not only are you getting a day 1 upgrade, a plug and play player, but you're getting a defensive cornerstone that you can finally build around, of course, right next to Jeffrey Simmons. With the 4th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns are going right tackle from Utah, Spencer Fano, someone who has not allowed a sack this season, someone who has not even allowed a quarterback hit. And that's in a total of 180 pass blocking snaps. You look at him as a run blocker. I would argue he's a better run blocker than pass protector. And when you look at this Browns offense, it is one of the worst in the National Football League. Of course, Joe Flacco has had turnover issues, but I also think that the tackle play for this team has simply simply not been good. Veteran Jack Conklin's been hurt. Cornelius Lucas has been disappointing. DeJuan Jones has been disappointing, and he's currently hurt. The team just went out and acquired Cam Robinson in exchange for a 2026 pick swap. So there's some clear problems here. So there's an obvious problem at tackle for the Cleveland Browns. And don't get me wrong, you can definitely argue a quarterback here. I would not argue against you. But it feels like at this point, I don't want to put a quarterback back there where they're constantly being rushed. It's not like the Browns have a ton of wide receiver talent as well outside of Jerry Jeudy. So I think for me, let's just shore up the offensive line early with this top 5 selection. With the 5th overall pick, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting defensive tackle Peter Woods out of Clemson, someone who is scheme versatile, someone who can bounce up and down the defensive line, someone with freakish athleticism, an absolute mauler in the running game, someone who can affect the passer as well. But I think the real highlight when it comes to Peter Woods is his disruptive nature. Anthony Weaver needs more production in this defensive line, and Peter Woods gives you this, again, freak show athletically when it comes to power, when it comes to explosion off the ball. He can take on double teams, you can move him around. I think this pick makes a lot of sense for this Dolphins defense. With the 6th overall pick, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting defensive end TJ Parker out of Clemson. Now, elephant in the room here, Baltimore is a team with Super Bowl aspirations. I don't envision them picking within the top 10 in this upcoming draft, but so far, this defense has been an absolute mess, and if the season were to end today, this is where the Ravens would be selecting, and TJ Parker would give this team an instant boost. Parker, much like Peter Woods from before, has scheme versatility, right? He can play in even man fronts as just a true defensive end. He can play in odd man fronts as a 5-tech. The Ravens have allowed the most points in the entire National Football League. It sounds so weird to say, given the amount of talent, given it's a John Harbaugh-led team, given that defensive football has really been the Ravens' identity for years. I mean, it's insane to actually look at this defense getting absolutely torched under or on a week-to-week basis. Now, to be fair, they did play against Josh Allen. They have played against Pat Mahomes, but they need someone who can get after the passer. They need a high floor type of player, someone who can step in and play right away for a win-now team, and TJ Parker is that type of player. With the 7th overall pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting tackle from Miami, Francis Mauigoa, someone who you can definitely argue, hey, maybe we can kick this guy into guard at the NFL level. Maybe his ceiling is higher at that position. But regardless, the Raiders need some help on this offensive line. Right, you look at DJ Glaze, he's been okay. You look at Dylan Parham, he's been a little below average, not really what you want. Alex Kapp on the inside, not really what you want to see. And obviously this team invested a top 10 draft selection in Ashton Genty. You want to see the fruits of your labor, right? You want to see this guy at his full potential blossom, bloom into the player that everyone feels like Genty can be. But you can't do that if he's getting neutralized at the line of scrimmage. You can't do that if he does not have effective holes to run through. Mauigoa would come in and instantly give you an athleticism boost, a talent boost on this Raiders offensive line. When you're thinking about what he can potentially do at right tackle, protecting Geno Smith, I mean, go back to last season, Mauigoa only allowed 1 sack all year, 1 quarterback hit all year, right? 17 hurries in the entire 2024 season. And even though the Raiders have some other team needs, I think they got to get back to basics and they got to figure out the offensive line. When they do that, I think Genty's production is going to go up, Geno's production is going to go up, and then from that point, the whole offense will start to thrive a little bit more. With the 8th pick here, I have the Carolina Panthers going edge rusher from Auburn, Keldric Faulk. When I'm thinking about just a beautiful system fit for what this Panthers team wants to do on the defensive side, right? They're running this 3-4 defense. Keldric Faulk, I mean, man, the size, 6'6", 285. You look at the strength, you look at the leg drive, you look at the ability to set the edge and stop the run. Man, I just feel like this is a perfect fit for the Carolina Panthers defense that obviously needs some juice. They need to get better players on the edge. It's just as simple as that. Now, he does only have 2 sacks on this season with 1 quarterback hit, but if you go back to last season, he had a total of 9 sacks with 5 additional quarterback hits and 31 total hurries. That is really impressive stuff when you're thinking about the context of the conference, the SEC, looking at his age, what he was doing last season as a sophomore, you really like the upside with Faulk. With the 9th overall pick, I have the New York Giants selecting wide receiver Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. We all unfortunately saw what happened to Malik Neighbors, carted off the field, ACL injury. He is done for the year. And I think projecting into next season, it would be just a smart, right? This is common sense here, but it would be a smart idea to provide your young quarterback with another weapon who can get open by himself. Jordan Tyson does not need to be schemed open. He can hurt defenses down the field as a deep threat. He can hurt defenses over the middle of the field as an intermediate threat. And obviously as a short game receiver as well, where you can catch a screen, catch a slant, catch a crosser, and make things happen yards after catch. A great route runner who is extremely elusive, and he's also, for what it's worth, a big game player. You feel like when he's playing against good defenses, he continues to rise to the occasion. Now, all of a sudden, you are really putting Dart in a position to have success moving forward. And last but not least, with the 10th overall pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting safety Caleb Downs from Ohio State. He's arguably the best, the most complete player in this entire class. When you talk about guys that have a high floor combined with a high ceiling, Caleb Downs is that type of player. When we look at this Texans defense, it's definitely not horrible, but you really feel like they can use a boost in the back end. And with the recent release of CJ Gardner-Johnson and again, arguably the best player in the draft falling to spot number 10 here, I think it would be tough for the defensive-minded head coach DeMeco Ryans to pass that up. Now, again, elephant in the room here, offensive line needs to be a priority for this Texans team. And you can argue Proctor, you can argue, Gooseby from Texas for sure. Right, 1000%. But I could very well see Downs immediately being a top 3 strong safety in football year one. And I think that's very enticing. I think that's a difficult thing to pass up. But look, if you want to go with an offensive lineman, I am not going to sit here and argue with you. That was actually a last minute change on my part. I was thinking offensive line 100% of the way up until Downs was on the board here in this mock draft. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to be doing more of these. This is actually going to be a weekly thing up until the point of the NFL draft. So yeah, hit the subscribe button if you guys enjoy. Hit the like button. It really helps out. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.